Hi everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the A&E show, the Empowered Living channel. I'm here with Ayse and our good guest Sira Şule. Have I pronounced that right, Sira? So we're just meeting now, so I'll hand over to Ayse. Today's show is really about looking at what freedom means to us, how important that is to us, and maybe what we think about it, maybe ways we haven't thought about it. So over to you, Ayse.
Absolutely, and we've got the perfect guest on today. She's a hypnotherapist, psychotherapist. She literally knows everything, the ins and outs of how the mind works. She's literally been involved in so many workshops, including breathwork, fasting, meditations, and she's also an amazingly talented poet. Welcome, Sira Şule.
Canım, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Erkan, thank you for introducing the show as well. Wow, it's nice to be with you guys. We've been planning this for a little while, haven't we, for us to be able to get together and to talk about things that really matter for us on a personal level and also on a collective level, what we all need right now, right?
There was something interesting you said earlier that kind of caught my eye, the fatigue of conspiracy, and I guess that's out of a commitment that people want to work out what's going on in the world on their own terms, on their own, if you like, on their own sovereignty. They want to work out, forget what your teachers and your culture and your education and the news and the common understanding of what's happening in our world. I guess the internet has probably facilitated this more than anything. But I think there is a group of swell of humanity that is saying, no, I'm going to work this out for myself. I want to understand what's going on. Now, you said something about the fatigue of that. I mean, can you kind of maybe, I imagine a lot of our audience will be kind of experiencing that as well.
Yeah. I mean, it all has to do with the mind, but I will definitely start with what you've talked about. There's nothing wrong with researching, of course, for ourselves, for us to be able to re-educate ourselves, about the world, because we know that education changes and the truth seems to have changed like magic over the years as well. 50 years ago, maybe it was acceptable for a woman to be sold. Now it's not, but back then that was the truth that people are accepting, So the truth changes over the time because it's not the truth. We're moving towards the truth. And researching about that makes us actually ahead of our time. This is what most of the philosophers, poets, beyond their time, prophets, messengers, this was the sort of information that they were bringing to us, research, the truth about existence and who we are. But there is a downfall to it, and it is actually being used against us in a way, because why I said is connected to the mind, the subconscious mind does not know the difference between a stimulation, so whether you're watching TV and it's not based on the truth, okay, or whether you're watching it real time and you're actually experiencing it. And even when you're experiencing it, there could be actually misinterpretations in it and you could not be picking up the truth. So what I'm trying to say is, I'll explain it like this. Me and my daughter, laugh at this fact, but of course, I want this to be cleaned from our communities. By the time I'm in the car to get to Kyrenia, which is about 20 minutes away from my subconscious mind, hello? Yeah. My subconscious mind has already picked up about 1,000 subconscious messages about how I should be feeling, how I should be looking, what I should be fancying, what would make me feel good. And these going direct, into, sorry guys, I just received a phone call. All of this information is going into our subconscious mind. And when we are constantly researching about what the government is up to, and they've done this now and they've done that, I mean, now we know there is a power that is in charge who is not looking out for our well-being. In fact, they're oppressing. Okay, we know this fact now. But going beyond that and researching, then now they've done this and now they're doing this to the children, the subconscious mind and your intelligence your peace will actually disappear over time, because the subconscious mind will erect all of the feelings that you are watching, that you're stimulating into your senses. And it doesn't know whether it's good or bad. You are giving it something and it just knows how to create. And it's a very advanced mechanism. But it's been hacked because, like I said, even when I don't watch TV, I don't have a TV in my house. By the time I go into the city to sort something out, I'm already hungry and I want to drink raku. By the time, I get to the main, because there's so many advertisers and restaurants and eat, drink, consume. And I'm aware of these feelings, but most people, when these emotions arise, they don't realize it's because of messages that has been, for days, weeks, sometimes months, being pumped into their minds. They just automatically assume that they are coming up with these thoughts. And, if you speak to a lot of people who investigate a lot of these things, after a while, they start feeling like they've lost their power, because they have. And they're not feeling too good about themselves and the world, which is not actually adding the positive energy that the world needs right now and that they need right now to heal from everything that they lived through emotionally.
Sira, I remember you telling me about how the mind is affected by colour, symbology and numerology. And it's these that you're referring to at the moment, isn't it? That's actually what's really affecting us subconsciously without us really being aware of it.
From the moment that you expose your mind to a movie, okay, your subconscious mind, which controls your life, which controls your hormonal production, so whether you're going to be happy or whether you're going to be sad, whether you're going to be stressed or whether you're going to be panicked, right? It controls the hormonal system of your brain, is connected to your subconscious mind. So what I mean when I say the subconscious mind doesn't know real life or stimulation is, if we went to the cinema today and we watched a horror movie, we came out and we came home, we know that they were actors. Like our conscious mind, the 20% that we use, the daily part of our brain that goes, okay, now I need to wake up, now I need to bathe the children, now I need to get to work, that part of it, right? I'm not talking about that part. That part of it knows that it was a film, knows that it was recorded by blah, blah studio. But when you come home, you're still going to feel scared, because now your subconscious mind is picking up darkness, a door creak. That's it. There is something coming to hurt me. So it's actually going to release stress hormones so it can protect you. It's putting in a fight or flight mode, because you have taught it that in the darkness, when the door creaks, this could happen. That's a mind program. And it triggers by itself over years, and it can even grow, and it's a very simple fear program, but it can keep you in fear of many, many things. We have programs against love. We have programs against trust. Like Ayşe wouldn't be behaving the way that she's behaving right now if she didn't watch the 1,000,001 disease that, she has been subjecting her mind into. And she's erecting those feelings within herself, because she's actually activating, by watching it, certain neurological connections that wouldn't have been there. Like, how, let's say you keep on watching Pembe dizi that is sort of showing you bad relationship archetypes, and that's how her brain learns, through archetypal learning, idolizing people. They're cheating on each other, lying on each other. Now, all of a sudden, you might think, wow, my partner might be doing that to me, because you have just activated the neurological pathway there. And now it's going to run, not because your mind is against you, but you have put something in it that is demonic, that is not pure, and that is not based on the truth. And this is when we have to become the guardians of our minds and the guardians of our children's minds, because once a neurological circuit is created within 21 days, it now starts giving birth to manifestations of emotional, secretion. So you can now feel stressed in certain situations that you weren't feeling stressed in, or, be fearful of dark when you weren't of love because you think you're going to get hurt. And most people think it's them, but it's not. Where is your thought coming from? You don't wake up in the morning and think, okay, I'll think of this now. We are receiving the thoughts. and we are processing it and we're working with it. So, let's go back to freedom. Unless a human being learns the weapon that is being used against them, which is the mind, and unless they learn how the subconscious mind works, how it operates, and how it's affecting their life on a subconscious level, so you wouldn't know about it. This is what I mean by subconscious. When people say, oh, subliminal messages don't work on me, your brain operates the same way that my brain works. We're both creative creatures upon planet Earth. It works the same way. So it works on all of us. I've been working for 10 years to remove subconscious programs from my mind. And even just the other day, I had the subconscious release, which I had no idea about. And it's only when it leaves that you think, oh my God, this has been affecting my life and all my decisions. But because it's at a sub level, and this happens because our subconscious mind is actually trying to protect us. Again, there's nothing inside of this vessel that is actually against us. Everything is actually to protect you. And if we have been traumatized, or if we have created emotions within ourselves that is later going to disturb us, it's quite, sorry, John. Sorry. Yeah, it's quite important that we understand how the mind works, because until you know how the mind works, it is impossible. You will be fighting the symptoms in your life. I'm unhappy, all right, let me buy a new car, let me buy this, let me buy that. You're just trying to fix the symptom, just like in the healthcare system, when you go and you're looking at the symptom and you're trying to supplement something for it. If you don't know the cause, we really can't, on a personal and a collective level, can't change much. We need to, and we are getting to the cause of things now, and human beings have come a long, long way. I don't want to take away any credit from humanity, because 50 years ago, women couldn't talk. We could be, burnt at stake. We could be, we could be sold. And, we have grown intelligent enough. And it was the first woman that spoke up. It was the first man that said this is not right, that caused that evolution in the mental space, because evolution is to do directly with the mind. Or 100 years ago, where an African brother or a sister could be sold at a market and people will find that completely acceptable. And it was their truth back then. It was acceptable. And now we've grown intelligence from that now. And, we are actually becoming more whole and more collective. But until we understand this advanced system that is between the palm of my hands right now, our brain, which is the only creative power upon planet Earth that has the power to elementally command creation. This is how advanced we are. A cat can't create a laptop. A cat can't create a mobile phone. A cat can't create a lot of things that we actually have control over, And
sorry, my darling, I'm stopping you. So where do we begin to understand? How do we? I'm sure there's some simple things we can do, some tasks and stuff we can do, maybe meditating. But how would you start with trying to help someone to eliminate certain things from their subconscious mind, to stop them being in fear?
Yeah. One of the most effective method that they can do, and this could be quite intense for a person, because you start seeing your own truths, and that means you're mixing everything up again, and usually it causes change in people's lives, and that alone can cause resistance sometimes. Sometimes when people come into meditation to do rhythmic breathwork meditation, I really feel the resistance to healing, and bless them, they want to heal. And then we discuss about it later and laugh about it, because there really is that resistance, But yes, there are, of course, things that we can do, daily. For the last 10 years, I have been meditating and trying different methods of self-development to rise my own intelligence first, so that I could have understand the cause and effects of why my life the way it was. And I tell you truly, the first thing that I would go to is learning the mind, right? And that's a self-learning journey that you can go on yourself. There is so much material out there, including the virtual lessons that I'll also be giving as well. So learning about the mind. Secondly, once you learn about the mind, you're going to want to meditate anyway, because you're actually going to realize now what sort of power meditation is going to give you over your life. And, you know, I always say this. If you're the sort of person who's saying, oh, my life is perfect, I don't want to change anything. Oh, the collective is bad, but it's all right. Well, meditation isn't for you, because that means that you have, you know, settled in this vastness of intelligence that human beings are. You have said, okay, I want to stop at 10% intelligence or 1% intelligence. But for the people who dare to say, I want change, I want evolution for myself and mankind, meditation, especially rhythmic breathwork meditation, is something so exciting, because just like with self-development, what you have to do obviously is direct your step by step towards information. Towards different information, and there's lots of false information about there. The new age religion, you know, ignore everything is lie, everything. But I think with rhythmic breathwork meditation, what I like about it is that when you go into it and you give your body the oxygen, okay, just the way when you have a drink, you don't say to the body, okay, now get drunk. When you give your body that much oxygen, okay, and you allow yourself to be motivated by the music to keep that going for an extended period amount of time, your body actually shows a subconscious reaction. So you and your subconscious mind will come face to face for the first time, maybe in a very, very long time. And people have usually reacted with, of course, happy tears, some sadness for being away so long from actually a part of ourselves. You know, a part of ourselves has been dissected from us because we have been having to survive in fight or flight mode, which is the bare minimum intelligence that humans can thrive on. And we're still thriving, by the way. You know, we're still loving each other, growing families, you know, growing communities and ourselves. But I'm really excited because I know more and more people are going to realize freedom means mind. Freedom means understanding your emotional world. And the dream that they've sold us about celebrities, fame, money, yes, of course, unfortunately, they've collected everything towards money, respect, you know, housing, electricity, everything is connected to money. But on the other side, there is an ethereal world developing within ourselves. We want healing, we want justice, we can see the pain. And I really wish upon every single person upon this planet to come face to face with their subconscious mind, because their truth is valid and their truth is going to set them free about what's happened to them during their childhood, what's happened to them as they were growing up, whilst they were making decisions in their life, in their intimate relationships. And that is true healing. It's not easy. You know, we cry. You know, I have 2 everyday meditations. You know, sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh. But all I know is that every time we come out of a bigger realization about ourselves, which means it's getting us that little bit more closer to our own truth, which is connected to a whole race of humanity and the whole of history of humanity. That's how connected we are. When you get in touch with your own world, you're actually getting in touch with the truth of our connection and where we have been and who these powers are and what we need to do to continue to evolve.
Sira, you mentioned to me about implementing this into the education system, because this is really something that really, really should be impregnated into the kids, you know, mindfulness, you know, encouraging the kids to grow up to know who they are, how their mind works. I mean, I'm 40 years old and I still don't have a clue 100% how my mind is working, you know. Wouldn't it be great?
You're coming over. We're doing a meetup.
Oh, I'd love that, honestly. Like you said every human being needs to do this. They need to confront their traumas and their subliminal mind. But if we could get this in the children, then we can save like a whole generational,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, the system said to me, if you want to learn the mind, it's going to cost you £25,000 and 4 years of your life. And I was like, no. And then I found a course and that said, okay, 6 months and £700 or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's acceptable with hypnotherapy. But what I'm trying to say is it can be simplified that much that you don't need 4 years. You actually don't even need 6 months. In a 2-hour conversation, John, that I can have with you, we can, as a conversation as well, you know, get you to really understand how the subconscious mind operates, how it secretes certain hormones, how to heal, you know, traumas. And these are such useful tools that, because it works, you just want to use it every day of your life. Every day you can actually get closer to your own truth instead of what the system is telling us to do, which is to suppress the feelings, suppress the fears, you know, suppress, you know, the tears. Men don't cry, women don't do this. It's all still here. It's on our shoulders. And we, the person inside the inner child, we need us. We need the person that we have now become to go back and correct those teachings. We know there is so many wrongs. You know, when we look at our parents, when we look at our grandparents, we should be able to easily see the mistakes that they have done and to be able to correct that in our own vessel, to be able to pass it on to our children. And, you know, we have done that in all fairness, but it can happen so much better, like you said, with education that can serve our children. They don't have to go through the emotional suffering that we went through. You know, Zara was understanding and telling me her emotional needs because it was allowed, not otur konuşma, sen çocuksun, you know, like all of this, you know. So I just switched to Turkish because that's like
yeah,
Turkish.
go for it, I know. What a wonderful generation that
I've got a question. Are you UK born and bred, or are you Cyprus born and bred? I can't work it out. I imagine you spent a lot of time in England.
Yes, I was born in Cyprus up until the age of 12, and moved to the UK. Yes, and then Cyprus 8 years ago. Well, it's been 9 years now. Yes.
Because obviously I've made that transition to North Cyprus in the last year and a bit, and yeah, I'm still a virgin, as someone told me with regard to Cyprus. I would have thought that people would have been a lot more enlightened here to freedom and self-autonomy, and valued the authenticity of family and connection and brotherliness and camaraderie and sisterliness, you know, because I can see there is something here that people do value those relationships. But on another level, I've noticed how that majority of people are very much at the effect of that box in the room, you know, the TV, and it shaped their behavior. And I can see where the freedom, even like people don't want to be injected, they're like, oh, what can you do? It's like they act as an observer, not a judger. I mean, I'm not saying I don't judge, I'm just saying, but not from a judgment point of view, is they are not standing for their freedom. They are acquiescing and obeying at a level of ease and without any discomfort, whether it's social expectations or whether it's I need to travel, or I don't want to lose my job, and I imagine there's a lot of I'm jumping around a bit. I don't know where I'm going with this, and I think there's fallout of the '74 war as well. There's this. I see in people like an immaturity, a childlikeness in their ability to take the world on in their terms. I don't know if that all came around and connected, but do you kind of?
there is a lot of subconscious influence and mind control programs that has been actually conducted in Northern Cyprus, social engineering for once. What happened with 1960s and the 1970s was only the beginning of that actually mind program. And, that we hear our grandfathers and grandmothers say, polishmanlar vardı, the English was here. And, that's when it all sort of began. And the division, of course, and the Western culture being brought into Cyprus, because you know how the Cypriots were. We were pretty much based around nature, outdoor living. Most of us were farmers. It's what we see right now is the direct product of the social engineering that started in the 1960s, and that is still ongoing.
Yeah, and I guess it's we not to forget, although we're in a small island and we're only in half of that, and there's a very small population here. We're still at the effect of globalist, like you said, cultural changes, social control, and what I thought I would find here is a lot more people standing for their freedom and being a stand for nature. And they what I hear on the whole, that Cyprus is gone. What can you do? There's nothing we can do. And I wonder, do you obviously that's generational. It's from grandparents down to parents, now to children. With this show is aimed at North Cyprus culture. It's not just Turkish Cypriot North Cyprus. It's all of us here. I hear people talk about meditation, but getting hold of your subconscious mind is in my opinion, I think it's kind of putting the cart before the horse in terms of what do I want to create in my life that is missing, or what is it that I want to take control of that I don't have control. Like there has to be some vested interest or some desire or commitment to it, because otherwise why would people take that discomfort and challenge? I mean, do you find that's the case? I mean, people come, like you said, they want healing, but the reality of
the thing is, this is the nature of healing, and what happens with any collective healing when you look into the history of mankind as well. A person might start the healing about something, let's say about the women's movement, like they started it. People might laugh at them, stone them, even kill them sometimes, right? This has happened in the past. And then they come to a point where, because we're not giving up on that idea, because it is based on the truth, not so they say, I think Gandhi said this, first they laugh at you and then they want to join you, because they see that what you're trying to build, the truth in it. And truth always stands and the false always fails. That's why propaganda has to continue day by day to collapse the truth, which is eternal in us. And with regards to the Cypriots and, Cypriots being advanced, you thought that, there might be more, more intelligent with regards to certain things that is happening here, and they should have sussed it out by now. There was a big trauma that they've endured in 1960s, 1970s, and an ongoing drama, with the Turkey and, having to accept different cultures and whatnot. And this is all actually, when you understand the subconscious mind, tools that are used to collapse intelligence, to make obedient slaves. Because when a person has survived war, being hungry with your children on the street, there is dead bodies, you're hearing this person's got killed, that person's you're in fight or flight mode. You're no longer a god. You're actually just as much as intelligent, maybe even some of the animals, because you're no longer using your cortex. You're in fight or flight mode, which is about survival. It's not about philosophizing what's been happening to human race, or it's not about thinking about your ancestors and what's happened to them and, how we come to where we are right now. You're about, where am I going to find my food? What am I going to do with my children? So I think it is all of this, and the distractions, of course, the food, the fashion culture, the money culture, the cars, and the distractions are there also as well for temporary relief from the poverty that we had to live and the suffering that we had to live. So it's something that has been used against the Cypriots, but I think there is a part of Cypriots. It's funny, actually. You know how we're really laid back? We're really laid back, right? I'm thinking that's serving us a little bit, right? Why? Because if there was more people stressing, if there was nobody having fun on the island, if everybody was like, oh my God, the dark forces have taken over and we're all going to die, that's actually a lot of negative energy for the collective and in our own personal lives. So biraz genişlikli olmamız, I think it has served us during the Corona period, because gene biz mangalcılarımızı yakardık going into nature, and we still lived it in a much more free way compared to how London got affected, or, you know, some places like Bali where they were shut down and their businesses were shut down for, you know, over a year. So I think we're doing pretty well considering the assaults that we have been taking for many, many years. Our ancestors have been taking for many, many years. And I think since the fall, this is the most intelligent that our species have ever been since the fall, where we can see injustice. We're not burnt at stake for it because we fought for our rights. We took them. We lost lives. We lost a lot of things. You know, we sacrificed a lot. But thanks to people like us, the seek for freedom will never end. Because as long as there is human suffering, as long as we have activated hearts, we're going to be after the truth.
Thanks for that. I really appreciate the answer. Right, we're going to take we're back again. Yeah. So, Sira, you know, you're kind of digging a bit deeper around. You know, meditation isn't just something people will just jump into. There are some preparations maybe.
The program.
Yeah, there is. We have been subconsciously taught not to go into our emotions, because as children, when we have gone into our emotions, we've been told, no, don't feel that, or we've been physically hit to show that we're not supposed to feel like this and like that. And our emotional body, to help us survive, partially has actually shut down. So that's why when people hear meditation, they have certain connotations, false information that has been inserted into their mindset, into their consciousness, where they sit there, they think, no, I don't think this is for me. But if you have a brain, you have to meditate. Like if you're a bird, you have to fly because you have wings. You know, that's just like a bird that has wings, but is saying, oh no, I don't need it. You know, I don't need to learn how to fly. And even birds need to learn how to fly, right? You know, they have to receive specific information from the parents for them to be able to learn how to navigate and do the things that they're supposed to do with that intelligence that they've been given, or that technology. So yes, and the resistances are not going to be lifted up by us. There is nothing we can do to a person who says, no, I want to stay in my suffering, you know. But suffering is a great also teacher as well, because it's taught us a lot as a race, Not that I'm saying it's necessary, it wasn't necessary, but now that it's happened, I can see how it's the human suffering that is making us human, that is saying, oi, that shouldn't happen, or that's not right, that shouldn't happen as well, which is getting us close to the truth, you know, of what has been happening on this planet for 210,000 years.
Wow, that's a lot of years. So Sira, I mean, with my personal journey, the whole point of us doing this podcast with Erkan was to self-heal. Basically, it was first for us so that we could be, you know, sort of a kind of a influence on others, to encourage others on the same path to heal as well. Because we realized, because we met through the pandemic group, and at that time it was like you said, we were in fight or flight, you know, and we realized that that's not a way to thrive, and it's not a way to grow. It was part of the journey. We had to be there. We had to go through it.
Yes.
You know, and we just didn't want to feed the darkness anymore, like you said, because they've sabotaged all the light in that form. Even all this alternate media, you know, it's all just feeding the darkness, isn't it? Like you were saying, you know, it's just the way that they've they've got the light workers and the people that are trying to, you know, expose and be the light. There is a way that they've hacked them. Yeah. And we realized that, and this is why we've given birth to this empowered living podcast, to encourage people like us, like you, to self-heal. So it's been a real pleasure listening to you. So what are you doing now? What are you up to now?
I'm so excited because after 10 years of meditation, research on human origin, the mind, you know, hormonal systems, fasting, you know, I've been through Scientology and, you know, those sort of intelligences. I've come across a practice 2 years ago, which at the time when I was introduced to it, to be perfectly honest, I didn't realize what I had been introduced to and what I had actually self-initiated myself into, and that is breathwork, right? And just like everybody else, I also have resistance inside of me as well to heal, you know, certain aspects of myself. And what I've noticed with breathwork meditation, and then, you know, I love music, I love dancing, and then mixing the music part of it to actually be able to meditate to your favorite music, your best feel-good music, and for you to be able to pump oxygen in your body. Certain things happens to your body that is automatic. You know how like sometimes we go, okay, tomorrow I wake up and I will not have burek, and then the next morning you wake up and you're like, gavajik, burajik, you know? Because, you know, that command is coming from the subconscious.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Or, you know, you say we say we're gonna make a change in our lives, and we say, okay, we're doing this tomorrow, and then it comes and it goes, right? Because our subconscious mind, which is homeostatic, which means that you're not actually in control of it, like your heartbeat. You're not in direct control of it. You can't say to you, you know, your heart stop and it's going to stop. So the subconscious mind is just keeping you. And you eat cakes as far as your subconscious mind is concerned. You love it. There's nothing wrong with it. But your conscious mind, of course, with time grows to understand through the cause and effect scenario, or, well, wait a minute, I feel fatigued, or wait a minute, I feel really bloated, or wait a minute, I feel like this, or I feel like that, or now I notice that I have more cortisol, like more stress hormones in my body than feel-good hormones. So it's quite important, you know, like when Erkan said, where can people start from? By actually monitoring yourself. You know, it's quite funny when you monitor yourself, because you're like, I'm going to do this, and your subconscious mind is like, no. Or you might say you're going to do something else, and then it'll take you to something completely different, you know. And I would say not so serious. You know, we need more joy, we need more laughter, we need more love in our lives. And I love sharing my own, you know, programs and, you know, the funny stories that come up with it as well. And we can actually approach our mind and our emotions not so seriously, but from a curiosity perspective. You know, like first when I saw you, I was curious about you. Oh my God, this woman looks like an angel. I want to speak with her. I want to get to know what she's doing with her life. And she's, you know, involved in this project and that project. To be able to give that same compassion, that same, love and respect that we do to people who matters the most in our lives and the angels that come along our path, to give that same compassion to yourself. And journaling, you know, for me has been a big, you know, step. But of course, you have to step on the path for you to be able to take advantage of tools like that. Because even journaling has a way that it has to be integrated into your mind, because you could buy the pen and you could buy the book, and they could cost £1 million each. But if you don't have the subconscious program to journal, then it's just going to sit on your sofa or on your coffee table collecting dust. So it's quite important that people understand the mind so they know how to install and uninstall behavior, so that they can preserve their peace and be in command of their own hormonal system. You know, because, yeah, I'm sure this has happened to you. One day you wake up and it's like, wow, I feel great. We're doing it. We're smashing it, you know, and all of this. And then the next day it's like, we're fucking losing. It's the worst is taking place. So it's about, there is a reason why that hormone got, secreted in your body. And, as someone who understands the subconscious mind and who's been digging it for a long time, 99% of the time, it's not what we think it is, because it's connected to the childhood. It's connected to the things that we don't want to think about. And we have nowhere to run away. We live in a global initiation chamber. We can't run away from being initiated into our emotions. It's inside us. We can't run away from it. So even pain, like I said, not that it's necessary, but it's teaching us a lot. The personal pain, which shouldn't be taken so seriously, is a moment of affliction that comes to show you something within you. It's nothing to be feared. It's you actually saying to you through emotions, girl, I'm not well. Or honey, I'm not feeling too good right now. Or we feel fantastic right now. And it's our responsibility, just the way that we pay attention to the good hormonal secretions, that we pay attention to the hurting side of us. And, I think this is one great tool that I can maybe teach right now as well. One of the ways that you can identify when your subconscious mind has taken over your, your speech, the way that you're standing, the way that you're talking, is every single person has experienced this. You're talking to someone or you're in a group of people and all of a sudden you feel like your breathing has stopped. So you're actually holding your breath, your temperature is maybe going up, every single thing that person is saying is actually making your energy worse, and your trigger, your emotional trigger is growing and growing and growing. So in that moment, you are now experiencing your subconscious mind got triggered, is trying to protect you or is trying to defend itself, is trying to tell you something. And it's quite important that we don't just suppress that emotion. Even if at that moment you can't tackle it, to come home and to spend 5-10 minutes closing your eyes, maybe doing some rhythmic breath work and getting in touch with the emotional body to understand what you are saying to yourself. Because my inner child, like every single person's, as a result of our connection, is actually just looking to heal their inner child, because our inner child is stuck in that time-space manifestation in your memory, and it's not really aware of what you're doing right now and who you have become right now. It's put certain systems in place to help you survive in the world, but some of those programs are invalid now, and they're hurting you now, and they're keeping people away from you now, or it's, damaging relationships. This is what every single person is experiencing upon planet Earth, because we're all subjected to the same programs, pretty much.
So how do we protect our children, Sira? How do we go about as more awoken parents to, minimize as many of these subliminal programs and things that they're, bombarded with daily? How do we try to help the children to minimize their trauma, so to speak?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, we have to acknowledge that they are mighty souls. Although they're children, they are mighty souls. They're actually more advanced than us, because on the trail of evolution, they have actually come after us. Like, if we're iPhone 11, they're like iPhone 12 Pro plus. So we have to have faith in their power. That is really important, that they're very powerful beings, and it's not a coincidence that they are born upon planet Earth at this time in space. Second of all, cause and effect we already teach our children cause and effect naturally. And then if you put your hand in the fire, you're going to burn, right? Cause and effect. But we need to dive into the emotional cause and effects in children's lives. So instead of saying, no, Annem, don't do that, right? And you take something away from them, which is now actually shutting down their emotions, because you're saying you're not going to have this despite of what. But most parents don't explain. sometimes what I've had to do is I've explained to Zara, if you do this too much, it will be harmful to you. Like with sugar, for example, you know, she didn't have it up until the age of 4, and then she started having it and she loved it. She wanted more. It's addictive. We know this. And then she said, you know, I want it. So I said, okay, I've shown you what can happen. I've shown you how important our mouthpiece and our teeth is. But now that you have made this choice, well, this is the consequences you could suffer. So 2 years down the line, she got bad teeth, and it was hurting her, and we had to go to dentist and shit. And I said to her, well, I have explained to you. So she now is starting to trust me as a guardian and as a parent and as an information source, that whenever my mom says, if you do this, this will happen. At first, children will be like, whatever, right? They have their own mind because they're actually creative, gods themselves. But whenever you gain that trust with your children and your cause and effects adds up, so you're not like, God's going to burn you if you do that, because that's not based on the truth, right? But when you explain it and it adds up and they're growing up and everything you say is adding up because it's coming from your own truth and it's liberating their own truth, then that is going to naturally flourish into something good. But as much as we try to suppress children, or we try to take away things that they love away from them, then this is why most parents and, children, especially in the Cypriot culture, don't get on. They're just about maybe, just about can spend time together, without arguing about something, or without having, some sort of, like some experience that ruins peace, within the family unit and within personal lives, of those people. And I think communicating and accepting children's feelings as well, it doesn't matter how they feel. We have to, as sentient beings, we have to tell them that it's okay to feel whatever it is. Love has a place, anger has a place, compassion has a place. All of these emotions on the array of life has its place, and they shut us down, but we shouldn't shut them down, And I know they talk a lot sometimes, but, it's about balancing that and, find a way where they actually feel heard, because they try to shut us down, not that they did, but with them, we have to even give them greater protection now.
It makes us better people, the kids, doesn't it? It really is testing. It's testing. I've read somewhere that they literally are our mirror.
Yeah.
They mirror in us what we need to heal in us, really. It's quite spiritual, isn't it?
Yeah. And, they've come to, literally, they've come with so much wisdom already, because they have come with the organic program, God's original intention for us, love, peace, and all of that. You look at a baby, that's an organic code, They're so peaceful, they're full of love, they're smiling in their sleep, they look like an angel, That's how we all come, and because we have been already subjected to so much dysfunctional neurological connections, that sometimes they bring the organic code into our lives, and Zara's organic code sometimes slap me because she comes with something so natural. But my thought had layers and layers of my mom's thought, my dad's thoughts, education thoughts. Öyle bir derine girer ki she goes all the way to the cause. I'm like, wow, I'm gobsmacked that I thought that was okay, but I see the truth in what you're saying now. That's fine. We should be able to behave like this, So we learn a lot when we allow them to talk, when we allow them to communicate with us.
Yeah, and get rid of the programs in us, really. Because then we see, because they're not so programmed like we are, it's like they put that reality up to us, and it smacks us in the face, and oh my God, they're right. They're so right. They're more right than I am. How's this? I'm the mum, you're the child. What's going on?
We are lucky. They're our teachers as well. Yeah, they are masters in love,
I mean, that's something that a lot of parents have had a concern for, is education or schooling. And I know a number of parents who are having to send their children to, you know, state schools or mainstream schooling, and they're very concerned about what that affects, especially in this last couple of years as well. I mean, how and a lot aligned with that is this encroachment of technology. I mean, what would you say about how parents can mitigate the concern about the schools and the encroachment of online devices, whether that's, you know, online gaming, watching Netflix, and etc.?
Yeah. With regards to the school and the education system, I'll start with that. I think it's quite important, and it is our responsibility for every awakened parent who sees the truth from what is happening to go to the school and to address it directly with the person who's in charge. Like, for example, with the testing, it's still happening. Zara's never been tested once because I went to the principal, I had a word with him. I gave him so much insights, and, you know, thank God he was quite awake himself, you know. But I avoided that situation because instead of looking at the principal as in he's the person I need to fight or who's trying to harm Zara, I had to recognize that he is following his orders and he's following his orders. And this all goes back to, you know, an ancient battle that has been going on, and, you know, control again. So when you open communication like that fearlessly, you know, so I know a lot of us, although we know the truth, we are sort of fearful to communicate it with certain people. And I think it's quite important for us to have those tough conversations, because it's actually those tough conversations that is going to make the changes, you know, not talking about football and all the other easy subjects that's out there. And of course, there is a way of putting it. For me, what has helped is, instead of seeing the people who work in the institutes as the direct enemy, which I have passed through that, you know, I thought, how could you not see it? How could you do this, you know? But now that I have healed those parts of me, I look at that person, number one, they have been mind programmed like me. And number two, I can possibly help them because what I'm saying is the truth, and they have already felt it and seen it in their lives. You know, get them to follow, you know, what's happened with human rights in, you know, starting from America to Cyprus and the wars and stuff like that. People can really follow it if you put it in the right way, you know. So open communication with the schools, sticking to what you know to be truth and your rights, getting legal advice, or, you know, even a legal representative. I mean, I didn't have to get there, but, you know, in my meeting, that was definitely on the agenda for me to mention that if Zara does get tested, or if Zara gets expelled from school, you know, because she's not getting tested or she's not vaccinated, then, you know, there will be a consequence to the emotional damage that they will cause in my daughter's life. You know, to isolate her like that because she's refusing to treat, you know, get a medical test. So yes, communication with, you know, the government, I think is quite good as well. You know, if you're a concerned parent, they need to hear about us. They need to hear our opinions. Maybe not even just as a form of protest, because what happens with protests is we burst, and that's a good thing, of course. We maybe get our voices heard, that's good. And then we all have to get on with our lives, because unfortunately there are so many responsibilities that is put upon the human being, you know, for their well-being and their survival. But more writing letters, you know, asking for the change, you know, talking about it with, you know, with other parents, starting groups. You know, I have 3-4 parents here. We talk about, you know, we address gentle parenting. You know, I don't want any, and we are going to get to a stage where no child in the world will ever be disciplined by physical harm ever again, because we will come to know that, you know, just the way we realized slavery was wrong and that stopped, you know. Okay, maybe we still see remnants of it, but we've moved along that evolution now. We are likewise going to see that, you know, it's not acceptable to do that as well, you know. But it's a learning progress. It's a learning progress for all of us. We have to be involved, and we need to speak what we know to be true, you know.
That's a great answer. I think the thing that kind of stood out for me is this idea of fearless, open communication. I think, and without, if you like, without, you know, without vilifying the people you're trying to communicate with. I mean, that's a discipline in itself. And then finally, I mean, we're gonna have to wrap up in a bit, is the if you like, the encroachment of technology and devices and the online world. I mean, how are you mitigating that? Have you had any luck?
I think that technology that is being laid upon us and laced in our lives, in our everyday lives, is actually going to be quite crucial for our children's success in the future, because of the system that is being built, and because humans are still evolving to see that this technology is not good for us. We will again come to that stage where we will realize, like cigarettes, they told us for years and years, no, it's good for you, it's good for you, it's good for you. And then, oh no, sorry, it's killing millions of people now, you know? And we will come to that truth as we're experiencing it, and we can see anyway. But with Zara, again, it's cause and effect. So for me to be able to say to her, of course, there is some control there as well. I have direct conversations with her about the shows. Some of them I watch it with her and I pinpoint out the mind programs and what they're actually trying to teach her by showing those certain scenes. And that's actually training her brain to become critical when she's watching things instead of passive, and it's just going directly into the subconscious mind.
And how old, sorry, can I ask, how old is Sarah? How old is your daughter?
12. She's 12,
right,
yeah.
Okay, right. So that's a very tricky point, isn't it? It's going from very childlike. I'm not saying the childlike programs are not damaging in their own right, but 12 onwards, it starts to get a little bit more adult content, pop music.
Even the baby ones, it's destructive. Every single baby one, you know, I would love to one day sit down and watch a few programs with you, because you know, I've come accustomed to really picking it up, but it's something so basic that is teaching you racism or sexism or division, or, you know, but it's put in such a beautiful way that you can't see. It's an art, you know, and you have to focus your eyes in different ways and your mind in different ways for you to be able to identify what that core program being inserted.
We did a podcast the other day with Joel van der Molen, who's the writer, director and actor of a program called What the Fact, and he's done 1 and 2. He's working on number 3, and he said he's going to use some of the ideas from the film They Live, where you start to see that, you know, he puts these glasses on. I don't know if you've seen the film, and I think that's a large part of it. We haven't been critically, you know, we're not trained through the system, through the education and the media, to decode the messages. But once you once you put the glasses on, it's really clear. So I guess we've just got to keep explaining that to our children, is look what is happening here, what the message is, what they want you to think, how they want you to feel about yourself.
And we do this on a fear basis, you know, like of course there is a thin line between you know, turning our children maybe really into a paranoid person, right? Or getting them to be just aware moment to moment how they feel and what they're exposing themselves, how it's going to affect their emotional, physical body. So we're not actually talking about any baddies outside. We're saying, well, babe, watch this. I mean, Zara already knows, because she's at that age now where I can be more open with her about, you know, history and where we've come from and what's been happening here. But before, it was more like, well, babe, when you, like, you know, with sugar or with even technology, babe, whenever you do this, have you noticed that you're more agitated, or you won't do your exercise, or you won't go out into the garden? And with time, she would actually realize that herself, and she'll say, you know what, I'm going to go play in the garden today because I've looked at the iPad for a bit too long. And my friends can't believe it when Zara says that, up until now, because they're like, what do you mean? Did she just say she's going to go outside and practice volleyball, or she does you know, jiu-jitsu and MMA? So I think it's quite important also to get them involved in other things that they are passionate about. You know, Zara loves competitions. She likes to be part of them. So in competitive sports, she's motivated to get up and do it herself without me having to drag her to the studio and get her to do it, you know? So giving children choices, you know, gel babam bunu deneyelim, or come on, let's go try this today. And, you know, sometimes when you just listen to children anyway and how they generally project themselves with their words, they're actually sort of telling you what kind of a person they are. We know our children, you know, and it's about finding maybe activities that can be done at home, so alternative to the technology, that they're really going to be like, oh, I want to do this, or, you know, can you set this up for me? With art, Zara was like that as well, you know. Once I set up the studio, she would say, well, you know, I'm going to go into the studio, can you put some paint for me? And she would ask for it herself, because once she got in there, she'll put on the music, you know. I was with her a few times, you know, we danced, had a good time. But children like stimulation, they like color, they like movement. That's why the technology is interesting in them in the first place. They're feeling a whole array of emotions just by looking at this little black box. So we need to be as good as our competition who's trying to put this into our children's life, and give them, yeah, put on some music, show them how to dance, connect them to rhythm, you know. And if they have fun, you know, fun actually anchors emotions into us, and we want to do those things again. So if you add a bit of fun in it as well, even if it means just a few giggles or, you know, doing something silly, that's going to anchor it for her to want to do it again. But if you start, no, give me your iPad, go to your room, then no, they miss the colors, they miss the laughter, they miss the feelings.
Very good, very good. I think we're about on time, Ayse. Anything you want to, let's wrap up?
I just wanted to ask Sira about the fasting, because I know she's a pro at this.
I love fasting. Like, fasting has become a lifestyle for me. I won't go into it in too much depth, because obviously we have limited time, but I can say that I had lost my mental health, my physical health, the health of my certain organs, you know, on the verge of diabetes, and all at the age of 28, you know, as I had Sarah. And I realized that at the age of 28, I lost all of those things because you know, I failed to recognize the truth of my own biology, not realizing what I was doing to my body, because nobody hurts themselves intentionally, right? Like that. So when I started finding out about the body and the damage that I have caused in my body, I started, of course, thinking, well, what is the solution to it? You know, how can I reverse and help my body to be healthy again? And the answers that I got were actually very simple. It wasn't under any diets, it wasn't under any doctors and under all this scientific research that is going on. One diet is good, and then next year they say, no, it's not good. And then they say, next year, this is how many calories. But, you know, it was very simple. Water, you know. Water is actually in the ancient world known as the true angels. You know how they've told us that angels are like, you know, these people with halos and white dresses, pretty dresses and whatnot. That's actually symbolic for the elements that are always there for us, give us life, always protect us, our organs, and that's water, air, and all the elements that we're made from, and the fire of our body, because we're always warmer, right? You know, we have fire in our body. So the angel of water can actually officially baptize us, and not baptize us again in the way that the religion has taught us, but to actually baptize us, I mean to detoxify your blood, for you to be able to take in water and shut down your digestive system, for you to be able to go into what every single master in every single religion has talked about. And it is a self-healing practice, and it is literally a miracle, because I was 100 kilos when I came to this practice. Like I said, I was on the verge of losing my health. And the first 7-day water fast I did, on the 5th day when I woke up, it was the first time after many, many years, because I have had a very tough childhood, that I won't even say I cancelled that. The depression that was upon me had passed for the first time. Just to wake up and to have a good thought in your head about your life and about the world and hope. And, you know, I had missed it so much, you know, because I hadn't experienced it in that depth before. And it has so many benefits. It doesn't just detoxify the blood, it actually removes traumas directly from your lymph system. You can have subconscious releases. You are directly connected to your subconscious mind, because from the moment that you don't eat for 24 hours, your subconscious mind is actually active, because it's trying to look out to why you're not eating, and it's going to try and force you, of course, in every way that it can. But you're actually in connection, direct connection with your emotions. And now you can't suppress it with food, because food is one of the biggest suppressants that they got us addicted to. You know, they've got us to use the digestive system, the taste buds, all the system in a wrong way, because they're giving us food that actually kills our body and feeds the bad bacteria, instead of giving us foods that actually, you know, make us thrive and then kill the bad bacteria. So it's almost like reverse nutrition, you know. And this is the antidote. Fasting. In 7 days, your life could completely change. If you, for 7 days, can say, no, I'm not going to eat, and I'm just going to feed myself. And actually, you are still receiving nutrients, because fasting isn't about starving yourself, because from the moment that you don't eat in the first 24 hours, your body goes into certain technologies that we're not really aware of, you know, in the general public, and you're actually now burning your fat, you're burning damaged cells. Even cancer cells are actually burned to fuel you. So you're actually still receiving even water when you do dry fasting. You know, you're still producing and using the water for your kidneys and for your brain and for your heart, all your vital organs. Your body knows what to do to extract the water and still keep you hydrated, you know, your vital organs. And yeah, get ready for a quantum leap, you know, if you ever try it, you know. And I would love to try it with you as well. It is one of the, yes, it is a lot of strength to decide it, and a lot of strength to take, you know, step into it. And what I've noticed is when you first start, it's perfectly fine for you to fail, start, fail, start, fail, start. But just know that every time you go for it, you are now strengthening that, you know, neurological connection to say that you are setting the intention to fast. You are setting the intention to fast. And then, you know, at first it might be like, okay, 4 hours. Now that you set the intentions, you've done it 4 hours. You know, everyone works differently. Or some people just say, I'm doing it tomorrow, and then jump in it. But there is no wrong or right with it. And I think so, because you're going to feel scared a lot. People who are fasting for the first time, they will feel scared because, again, we have subconscious programs that has been placed in us with our parents as well. Yeah, that öleceğim, don't, you know, you can't be hungry, you'll pass out, this will happen. That all of that fear is inside of us too. And so I think it's quite important as well to educate ourselves about autophagy, about ketosis, you know, about T cells, about stem cells, and what is going to be taking place in your body, so that when those fears come, you have scientific knowledge. You've watched about 20 videos of people who's done like 40 days water fasting. They're fine. They're saying, wow, I feel amazing. And that is going to ease you into it. So you're just feeding those neurological connections with images, with, you know, you could talk to your friends about it who may understand this subject. So just to create that momentum around it, to show your brain that you want to move towards that direction, and it will support you.
Sira, thank you for that answer. A short answer for a subject I'm sure we could, maybe in a few weeks' time, we come back and do a longer show about water fasting. I mean, just the whole, it's been coming up in different conversations for me as well. So I think it's an interesting one. Ayse, any last words before we sign out? We've got a couple of minutes.
Thank you so much, for helping me share this information. I would really like to offer you guys Rhythmic Breathwork Meditation, now that it's put in such in such a way that I think every single person after the third lesson will be able to take this practice and practice it in their lives, and practice it even with their loved ones. We can use it with our family. We can use it as stress management. We can use it for connecting to our emotional world. I would really love to gift a session to you both, for you to see how you feel when you come face to face with your subconscious mind.
Lovely. I think that's an offer well worth taking. So listen, Ayşe, anything for you? Because we've got about a minute, 60 seconds left.
No, that's good. Just amazing, wonderful. I could go all day with Sira.
We could, it could quite easily. So listen, I want to thank you for watching the show. We've upped the pace a bit, Ayşe and I. We're loving it. I think we're getting a lot of value. Our guests have been awesome. They've been generous. They've been respectful. They've shared what they've learned. And, you know, obviously all of this is down to you. It's your choice. It's your decision or your desire to take to any area of your life on, whatever area that is. We just want to be maybe a catalyst or help maybe give you a signpost in a great direction that others have kind of trod before us. If you like the show, please like and subscribe, share it with friends, feedback, great positive information. If you've got any questions for future shows, do that. And just thank you very much for being on the show. And thanks, Sira, for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. Take care.
So be well.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Ayşe. See you.